It started out just very Facebook oriented as far as how to find us and having kind of our newsletter as a Facebook group. And then it kind of proceeded into having, like a WordPress blog style website where people could get their newsletter, but then they would still sign up in person and pay in person. I was spending a lot of time trying to make it really well manipulated on several platforms so that you could really find us. Probably 2023, I started to try to bring that to a website that could have my newsletter in it. Once I got that set up, that's when you reached out to me and we started the opportunity of having Farmhand. And since then, I haven't updated my Facebook group at all. And I haven't done anything on WordPress with making a blog post. And I haven't had to use Square or update it. I expected it to be easier, but I didn't expect it to be that much easier, especially since you really feel like as a farm, you have to have a really strong online and marketing presence, but that's not my skill set. Even though I would say my website's pretty reasonably good, it brought traffic, but it didn't bring committed traffic. And now I feel like when I look at those traffic numbers in the analytics, we have traffic numbers that are correlating to purchases. The opportunity to skip a week and they can choose that ahead of time, that never existed for me before. And I was worried about it. I was worried that people would skip a lot of weeks and at the end I would have to have a whole extra 20-week season to catch up on random people, but having the opportunity to turn that into some kind of farm credit for other things has saved me lost product, has saved me wasted product, and also has saved that conversation time. And one of the cool things I liked was making a sample box so that people could try it in whatever height of the season they wanted, right, and get a few weeks share. So I had a whole separate purchasing for that sample share. When they got the sample share, they got a little bit of babying where they would get here's how it's gonna work. And if you like it, try it out. But I also had to extra communicate to those people, it'll go like this. Don't worry, you can buy a sample. It's only 3 weeks. You're not committing. And then you're buying this thing. And I felt like it was a great opportunity for people to try stuff. So I really wanted to keep it, but it was a lot of extra work to do that, because then I'm holding their hand and I have to be present when they pick up. And then I'm giving a lot more to them than I would my committed members. And so then once you added this option where people could just they'd pay a little more, but then they would just buy 1 week, try it out themselves. They would get the full experience just like anybody else without me having to implement them, input them as a customer for a one-time thing. We've had almost the same amount of members that we have sign up fully. Additionally, I have that same number of members signing up to try 1 or 2 boxes in the season. Well, I'm never mitigating customer complaints ever. And it wasn't we had complainers. It was people who were well, I was thinking about picking it up on Friday if you're around, but maybe we could go to the market 1 week. It was all that disappeared because they now had a direct, here's the option, here's the choice, that's what you do. And I was so afraid of instilling those things before because I wanted to keep people, that I felt being as open as I could was the only way to get retention. And that absolutely wasn't the case. It was actually having that really strong rigidity of here's how you order, here's how many weeks, and that's how it's going to go. And if you don't want that, you can do this, and it's more money, and that's what it's going to be. That was huge. I probably am saving 100 hours a week, having to think about what are the important things in my newsletter this week. You've really streamlined that down for me so much that it is a 7-minute survey, maybe less now that I'm, used to it. I'm already ready to write it before I sit down versus being what is the story I'm going to share this week? How much of my soul am I pouring into a newsletter I don't even know if people are reading? And I don't have to search for recipes, which is a huge time savings. I just tell you what recipe I want to feature. I want to talk about Chinese broccoli, and someone just comes up with a recipe, and I don't have to find pictures. And you've saved my time, but also my computer storage. What is the reason that you would not choose it? Because the reason people are choosing your farm is the image that they perceive that you are. You've painted a story for them, you've painted an image of your farm, and don't you want them to access that? The other options are local harvest listings and whatever your other, Facebook images, right? So, the fact that we get all of that set up by you within days was pretty good. And anytime I'm hey, can we change this? I send a text to somebody and magically my website gets updated. It has been immeasurable how many more members I've gotten this year for us without trying. It's not even just that they've arrived, it's that I've done nothing. I have a QR code at my farm booth and I say, if you want to join our newsletter, and then they join the newsletter and all of a sudden they're signing up. I've done no talking about my farm or my story. That's massive. Sales are a huge increase. Average sales are about 50,000 a year. And this year our sales were closer to 70. That's big for us to jump like that with no additional employee increase. And that was all just output sales. I think for most of the members, it's been really nice to have the text messages. That's been really cool. I never put emojis in any of my messages. So at first it was like, you've been putting all these cute emojis in there. And I was like, that's not me. I don't do that, but it's cute, isn't it? They all thought it was really fun. And it was a touch I wouldn't have done. And then one of the things you guys had determined was another little touch for us was the Dylan plus Trish equals Dilish situation. And I have a hard time not signing every single email like that now because my members like it so much. We made Dilish because it is our names put together, but I hadn't had that sign off. And a lot of members are really enjoying that that's part of the newsletter. It's beyond customer service that you guys have picked up on little things about our story and shared increasing versions of them that our members have mentioned to us. And I've had people come to the market and buy extra things beyond their share box because they wanted more of it. And when they pick up on Thursdays, I'm not there. They just go in the cooler and get it. And so then they'll come to the market on Saturday to buy additional things that they saw a recipe for, that they tried the recipe and they come buy more. And so I've never had that happen before. My recipes were good, but people were like, yeah, I saw your recipe, but I don't want to click the link and try it. But I think you guys put good pictures in there. So, there's definitely a lot of feedback that happens that I'm like, oh, wow, I wouldn't have thought to do that on my own. And I'm pretty creative. I don't have to leave the farm field. I can stay working on the things I really, really love to do. And I don't have to think about growing my audience, marketing people, sending out text messages. And I think that a lot of farms are afraid that if they hand something off, it's no longer going to be unique like them or their integrity of what their brand is. You guys are harnessing in exactly what my brand is and sharing it in a really unique and truly my version. I don't know why you're waiting if you're a farm that wants to grow.